All right. So we're going to be going through just a 45-minute Hatha practice today, just focusing on really breathing, some stretching, a bit of movement. So we're just going to get started in just a child's pose. I encourage you to, come to a wide leg variation if you want, or narrow leg, whatever feels right for you today. And just begin to drop the bottom to the heels and gently, just slowly begin to walk the arms out. Maybe as you drop the forehead to the mat. And just begin to breathe, really noticing the quality of the breath with deep inhales and long exhales. I always like to start my classes out with a quote. So today our quote is, "When the breath is steady, all is unsteady, but when the breath is still, all is still. Control the breath carefully as the inhalations give you strength. A controlled body and retention gives steadiness of mind and longevity. Your exhalations will purify the body and the spirit." So if you're going to set an intention today, maybe just make that to bring a nice focus to the breath. And from wherever you are, just beginning to walk the hands up towards the body. I'm going to come into a kneeling position. I'm just going to face the center of the mat so that you can see me just a little bit better. And we're just going to come into a supported camel pose. So you're going to take the palms of the hands to the lower back and just gently begin to open up through the chest, gazing upwards. Just a light back bend. We're in a Hatha practice today, so generally we'll find that we stay in these poses for around 5 to 10 breaths. Beautiful. Begin to make your way out of that pose. And just find your way into a seat. You could be sitting on the knees, or maybe you'd like to cross the legs like I'm doing, whatever supports you. We're just going to begin by just taking some gentle shoulder rolls on the inhale, bringing the shoulders up to the ears. And on the exhale, release. And just start to work at your own pace. You can keep the eyes closed if that feels good for you. Maybe just drawing inwards as you focus on the inhalations and the exhalations. And if you were circling in one direction, maybe just start to go into the opposite direction. A lot of times when we breathe, we tend to really restrict our breath to the chest, and we call that stress breathing. So as you inhale and exhale, see if you can draw the breath all the way to the belly, allowing the belly to expand on the inhale. And to release, bringing the navel closer to the spine on the exhale. And you can stop your shoulder rolls. We're just going to take some gentle half neck rolls. So dropping the chin to the chest on the inhale, bring the right ear to the right shoulder. And on the exhale, drop all the way through center. Inhale, left ear to left shoulder. And exhale, dropping all the way back through. And again, just moving at your own pace. And making your way back to a neutral seated posture, lengthening through the tailbone. On the inhale, reach the right arm up. Gently allow the fingertips to press to the floor behind you, taking the left hand across the right knee. And you're just going to come to a spinal twist on the inhale, lengthening through the spine. Hands on the exhale, gazing towards that back wall. And make your way back through center. Maybe taking just a gentle counter twist, so just meaning pressing a little bit towards the left and coming back through. This time reaching the left arm up and taking the fingertips behind you, pressing the left palm into the left knee, or the right palm into the left knee, my apologies. On the inhale, lengthening through the spine, and on the exhale, gazing behind you, deepening your twist. We find that spinal twists are a really beautiful tool of accessing digestion, and also accessing the solar plexus chakra, which is located in the belly area. Beautiful. Make your way back through center. We're just going to reach the right arm up. Oh, take a tiny counter twist if that feels good. I always forget to mention that, just to the left side or the right side. Sometimes it can just feel good to release when you twist going from side to side. So take the right arm up in the air. Take the left hand, take a hold of the right wrist, and gently pull the body, pull the arm over to the left side of your mat, just feeling this really beautiful opening, breathing into the right side body. And when you're ready, releasing that hold of the wrist this time, taking a hold of the left wrist and pulling over to the right, cracking open the left side body. Beautiful. And release, taking your hands all the way back down. We're going to make our way into a tabletop. So facing the front of your mat, you're going to plant the hands and the wrists underneath the shoulder and knees underneath the hips, about hip width apart. And we're just going to take some gentle cat-cow. So on the inhale, dropping the belly, shifting the gaze upwards towards the sky and broadening through the collarbones into our cow pose. And on the exhale, begin to tuck the chin towards the chest, curling the spine up into our cat pose. Exhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze, lift the tailbone. And tuck the chin, making your way into cat as you curl the spine. And just again, starting to take this movement at your own pace, whatever feels natural for you today. If you want to add in any organic movements, maybe circular motions with the spine or shifting from side to side, always feel free. This is your practice. I'm just facilitating the space for you. Beautiful. And we're just going to make our way back to a neutral spine, planting the palms. You're going to reach the right leg out behind you so that the sole of the foot is pointing towards that back wall. And if this feels pretty good, you feel stable, feel free to reach the left arm out in front of you. Finding this really beautiful line of energy through the left fingertips, out through the sole of the right foot. Just beginning to engage with the core a little bit. The more you hold, the more you might feel quite a bit of engagement in the right glute, which is wonderful. And release. Lovely. This time, taking the left leg out, sole of the foot points towards the back wall, and reach the right arm out in front of you. Keeping the hips stable and level. Making sure that the left foot is active, toes pointed towards the floor. And release. Lovely. So from here, planting the hands, spreading through the fingers, we're going to tuck the toes and make our way into our first downward facing dog. So shifting the tailbone into the air, straightening the legs just a bit, maybe bending one knee at a time. And you can always take a light bend in the knees in your downward facing dog if that feels a little bit better for you today. If you're noticing any wrist pain, really pressing deeply into the knuckles and the fingers just to alleviate a bit of that pressure. And just take some time to touch in with the breath if you lost that connection. And when you're ready, on the inhale, stepping or hopping your way up to a forward fold at the front of your mat. If you're in your forward fold, maybe taking hold of each of your elbows and just letting the head hang, maybe rocking from side to side here in our ragdoll. If it feels good, you can always take a generous bend in the knees. Maybe if it feels good, you bend and straighten one knee at a time. If you're in your ragdoll pose, releasing the elbows, we're going to root down through the feet to rise up, taking the hands all the way up to the sky. We're going to bring the hands to touch, and on the exhale, take the hands through heart center. Maybe taking the hands to the sides of you, palms facing open, feeling the chest open, dropping the shoulders away from the ears in our Tadasana, our mountain pose. Pressing through all four corners of the feet. And on the inhale, reach the arms up to the sky. And on the exhale, swan dive forward, forward fold. On the inhale, you're going to rise to a flat back, maybe taking the fingertips to the floor, or maybe bringing the hands to the shins or the knees in spine prep. And on the exhale, plant the palms and step the feet back into a high plank, straightening through the back. And when you're ready, pressing the tailbone up, making your way back into your downward facing dog. Again, maybe pedaling out through the knees, externally rotating the forearms just to make a little bit more space for the neck and the shoulders and head here. Even though Hatha is a bit of a slower practice, we really take our time to engage into all the muscles here, and really any of our poses, especially downward facing dog. We really do begin to build a little bit of heat, which in yoga we might call tapas. On the inhale, stepping to the front of the mat, coming again to that flat back, that straight spine, and release into a forward fold. Maybe taking a bend through the knees if that feels good. On the inhale, root down to rise up, taking the hands to the sky, bringing the hands to heart center on the exhale. Back to your Tadasana. And we're going to make our way into a chair pose. So you're going to begin to take the knees into touch or take the big toes into touch as close as you can. And just begin to sit back. I like to graze my fingertips to the floor just to ensure I get a little bit lower. And then reach the arms up to either side of the ears. Again, really dropping the bottom as low as you can here in your chair pose. And just holding, feeling the engagement. Maybe gazing upwards if it feels okay on your neck. And exhale, release, forward fold. Inhale, making your way to a flat back, maybe with the hands on the shins or the floor. And exhale, plant the palms, step the feet back into your high plank. Shift the pelvis or the tailbone upwards, back into our downward facing dog. Maybe in your downward facing dog, you're gazing between the feet, or maybe trying to see if you can look towards the navel. On the inhale, press the right foot high into the air for a three-leg dog. And on the exhale, slowly begin to shift the foot forward, threading the foot in between the hands. You're going to spin the back foot at a 45-degree angle, making your way into a warrior one on the right side, reaching the arms up. In your warrior one, just gaze forward, making sure you can see the toes, making sure the knees stacked over the ankle. I'm beginning to knit the ribs in, so making sure we're not really flaring the ribs outwards. Beautiful. On the exhale, begin to release the hands to either side of the right foot and step it back into another high plank. And on the inhale, making your way back into your downward facing dog, shifting the tailbone upwards. On the inhale, raise the left leg high into the sky for a three-leg dog. And on the exhale, bringing the foot in between the hands, shifting the back foot to a 45-degree angle, basically so that the right toes are pointing towards the top right corner of the mat. Shifting the pelvis forward into your warrior one on the left side. Beautiful. On the exhale, planting the hands to either side of the left foot and stepping it back into a high plank. Make your way into your downward facing dog. Now from your downward facing dog, just adding a tiny bit of power, we're gonna drop the forearms to the ground, coming into what we call our dolphin pose. So with the forearms on the ground, maybe see if you can walk the feet in just even a centimeter or an inch closer to the body, really pushing the head and the neck and the shoulders away from the mat. And when you're ready, pushing up one arm at a time, making your way back into your downward facing dog. Beautiful. On the inhale, press the left leg up into the air for a 3-leg dog. And on the exhale, thread the foot in between the hands, stepping the back foot at a 45-degree angle. This time the torso is going to be facing the left side wall. And you're going to press the right and the left arm out into a T as you shift the weight over the front leg. We're in our Virabhadrasana 2, our Warrior 2 pose. Making sure to really externally rotate out the front leg or the front thigh. Maybe gazing over the left fingertips. On the inhale, drop the right hand down to the thigh, reach the left arm up overhead. Maybe gazing, if it's okay, on the neck and the shoulders, up at that left arm in the sky. We're in our reversed warrior. And making our way back into our Warrior 2. From here, we're going to come into an extended side angle pose. So dropping the left forearm down to the left thigh and spiraling the right arm overhead. From here, you're going to see if you can spiral it so that the pinky of the right hand is facing the floor. Noticing this really beautiful diagonal line of energy running out through the sole of the right foot and up to the right fingertips. If this feels good, you can absolutely stay here. If you'd like to engage the obliques just a little bit more, you can reach the left arm and keep it parallel with the right. And from wherever you are, making your way back into that Warrior 2, arms coming back out to a T. We're slowly going to begin to shift and straighten that front leg. So just straightening it a bit, keeping the arms where they are. We're going to make our way into Trikonasana, triangle pose. So you're going to hinge from the hip creases, reaching forward with that left arm as far as you can. And then just allowing the left hand to drop either to the shin, maybe to the floor if it feels good. And reaching the right arm up to the sky, maybe gazing towards the right fingertips. Being sure to keep a nice gentle micro bend in both of the knees because we never want to hyperextend. And if you have a block here, I encourage you, or maybe a book or a pillow, I encourage you to take it just a few inches in front of you. In a moment, we'll be making our way into a balancing half moon. But again, still engaging in your Trikonasana here. And we're going to make our way into that balancing half moon, beginning to bend slightly into that front leg, maybe taking the left fingertips to the floor to a block, beginning to lift up, opening up through the hips, lifting the right leg up towards the sky. And maybe if you're like me, your balance is a little off today, and that's okay. We're not meant to be perfect. Maybe if it feels good, see if you can release the fingertips off of the floor or the block. Finding just a soft gazing point. In yoga, we like to call that non-moving point that we focus on, our drishti. And from wherever you are in your crescent moon, just allowing the back leg to gently drop to the floor, making our way back into a warrior two, bending into that left front knee. And we're going to cartwheel the hands, pressing the palms down into the mat on either side of the left foot, and step the left foot back into your high plank. Shift the tailbone upwards into your downward facing dog. And just breathe here for a moment. On the inhale, reach the right leg up into a three-legged dog. And on the exhale, thread the foot in between the hands, spinning the back foot at a 45-degree angle. Making your way into a warrior two on the left side. Arms come to a T as you gaze over the right fingertips, torso facing the left side wall. I'm going to turn around just to make it a little easier if you'd like to see me. Again, really making sure you have a nice wide stance, really pressing deeply into that front leg with a nice bend. That's how you'll be able to get the most engagement in this pose. On the inhale, dropping the left hand to the left thigh, reaching the right arm overhead, reverse your warrior. And on the exhale, making your way back into that warrior two, gazing over the right fingertips. We'll make our way into our extended side angle, so dropping the right forearm to the right thigh. We're going to reach the left arm overhead, spiraling the pinky towards the floor. Again, finding a beautiful line from the fingertips out through the sole of the left foot. If this feels good, option one, you can stay right here. If you'd like to engage the obliques, option two, you can take the right arm parallel with the left. And from your version of extended side angle, swing the arms back to a warrior two. And we're slowly going to begin to straighten the front leg, making our way into Trikonasana. Hinging from the hip creases, reaching forward with that right arm as far as you can. And then letting the hand drop either to the shin, the calf, the ankle, or maybe to the floor if the left arm reaches overhead. Maybe gazing comfortably up if it feels all right on your neck. Now from here, beginning to make our way into our balancing crescent moon or half moon. You can take a block in front of you or a book or a pillow if that supports you, otherwise bending into that front leg. Beginning to shift the weight forward as you press the fingertips into the earth, reaching the back leg upwards. Again, we're really opening up the hips to the left side wall here. Maybe seeing if you can hover the fingertips off the floor. And as you're ready, as gracefully as you can, making your way back into that warrior two position. The arms pointed in a T. And when you're ready, cartwheeling the hands to either side of the right foot, stepping it back to a high plank, and finding the downward facing dog. And again, just finding any little movement in your downward facing dog that serves you, maybe bending one knee at a time. We're going to begin to cool things down a bit. So reaching the right leg up to the sky into a three-legged dog. And we're going to find our way into pigeon. So as you begin to bring the foot forward, you're going to bend into the knee so that the shin becomes parallel to the front of your mat. Now you might find that your right hip is sort of popping off the floor a little bit. If that's the case, you can always stick a block underneath, whatever feels right for you. Just making sure to bring the pelvis facing forward. And you can either stay upwards in your pigeon, or if it feels good and you want to open up a bit more, and begin to walk the hands down to the mat. Maybe making a pillow for the head with the hands, coming into a sleeping pigeon. When we're thinking about the chakra system, which is really this collection of these energetic spinning wheels or bodies within yourself, one that we find with the hip openers is that it touches in with the sacral chakra, which is this area that encourages creativity and maybe sensuality. But oftentimes people find that hip openers can be deeply emotional with their vulnerability. So just noticing maybe how this affects you, but not judging, just noticing. And when you're ready, if you took a sleeping pigeon, coming back, pressing up onto the palms onto the mat, you're gonna pop up onto the ball of left foot and take the right foot back into a high plank, shifting the hips back up into a downward facing dog. This time, reaching the left leg up high in the sky for a three-legged dog. And pulling the foot forward, beginning to take the shin parallel to the front of the mat for our pigeon on the left side. Again, if you find that your left hip just isn't planting into the floor, you can always take that block or pillow or book underneath the hip. to level yourself out a little bit. Otherwise, you can stay here with the palms pressed into the floor, or you can begin to walk the hands down, making your way into a sleeping pigeon. If you took a sleeping pigeon, gently walking the hands back up towards the body, beginning to press up into the palms, maybe shifting onto the ball of the right foot, bringing the knee up, and taking the left foot out into your high plank. And from your high plank, instead of coming into a downward facing dog, just gently, we're going to take one chaturanga. So chaturanga is really, it's very similar to a push-up position, but you're going to keep the elbows really tucked into the body, and we're just going to shift forward, shoulders over wrists. Just begin to press down, making your way really close to the mat, just holding for a moment. And then releasing the body all the way down. We're going to come into a Sphinx pose. Actually, before our Sphinx pose, just pressing the hands up, coming into a bit of a baby cobra, just a baby back bend here, maybe gazing upwards. And when you're ready, releasing all the way down to the mat, making our way to a Sphinx pose. You're going to keep the forearms pressed on the ground parallel to one another. Again, the shoulders stacked on top of the elbows here. Just begin to press up, broadening through the collarbones as you gaze forward. Maybe you open up the legs a bit more, pressing the tops of the feet into the mat, all 10 toenails pressed into the mat. Beautiful. From your Sphinx pose, we're just going to make our way into a forward fold. So however gracefully you want to get there. We're going to plant the feet in front of us, outstretching them. We're going to reach up and make sure the feet are active, toes pressing towards the ceiling. And on the exhale, you're just going to fold forward, hinging from the hip creases. I always encourage that when you take a forward fold, you lengthen through the spine. So I always think bringing the belly to the thighs as opposed to thinking of the head coming to the knees. Maybe you can touch your toes or maybe not. Really doesn't matter. Whatever feels right for you is good. If you're having any trouble lengthening through the spine, you can always pop a block underneath the bottom. Sometimes that can help a little bit. And on the inhale, make your way up from your forward fold. Plant the soles of the feet into the ground. maybe shift the bottom a little bit closer. Stretch the arms out in front of you and just gently make your way coming down to the mat, but really slowly, really engaging the core as you make your way down here. And release, beautiful. Just hug the knees into the chest, maybe rock gently from side to side, giving the lumbar spine just a little bit of a massage. And with the knees bent, you can just begin to drop both of the knees over to the right side of your mat, reaching your arms into a T or cactus position, and gaze over the left shoulder so that we're in a supine spinal twist. And on the inhale, again, just bringing the knees back through center, this time letting them drop over to the left side of the mat. Gazing over the right shoulder, supine twist on the left side. These are just really brief twists before we come into our Shavasana, just to neutralize out the spine from any of our poses today. Inhale, bring the knees back in towards center. Maybe give it one last nice hug through the body or one last rock from side to side. We're going to make our way into Shavasana. So taking the hands, palms facing upwards, down towards the ground, reaching the legs out wide, allowing the feet to flap to either side. Just gently begin to release any focus on the breath, allowing the body to relax and untense. Shavasana is an opportunity just to integrate all the work you've done into the body and the mind. And just to breathe. Quiet mind, quiet body. Shavasana. From your Shavasana here, maybe just finding a bit of wiggling or movement between the fingers and the toes. Slowly beginning to bring some attention back to the physical body. Maybe just reach the arms overhead and take a full stretch through the whole body. Maybe you press yourself, turning either onto the left side or the right. Now I'm giving these directions, but if you want to stay in your Shavasana for however long you'd like, please feel free to stay. There's no need to rush. That's the beauty of our online classes. But otherwise, if you're ready to close off the practice, maybe you're making your way to a seat. And if it's comfortable for you, you can take the hands to heart center. The light in me recognizes, honors, and loves the light in you. Namaste, yogis. And thank you so much for all of you who have come today. I hope that this has made your day a little bit better, offered you an opportunity to breathe. And yeah, I didn't make the, I wrote in the weekly announcements that are upcoming for this week that I will be teaching a yin practice next week at noon. So that will be a class with probably around 3 to 6 minute long holds of particular poses, really to release any tension through the body. There'll be a nice description of it so you can kind of get an idea for what's in store. And yeah, hopefully people will see the announcement because I forgot to do it last week. But otherwise, yeah, thank you so much for coming. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your weekend. And I really appreciate you being here. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thanks. Have a good one.